Sorry to cut you there. Do you think there's a political side to this? Because there's all of these talks about the fact that Governor Ambode and former Governor Fashola are not particularly in great terms. There's also talk about the fact that Lagos generally, historically, with the federal government, they haven't had the best of relationships, you know. They've been trying to get this special status forever, which the federal government has never really granted them now. We have a federal government. I don't know how many, President Buhari has been here. You know, the vice president visits when the president is not around, and he comes and, you know, we get all of the pictures, and he goes to Yaba and does the IT thing. Do you think the federal government really has a sense of trying to help Lagos, considering how important Lagos is to Nigeria?
If they do, it's not visible. We are not seeing it. And if it's a political problem between the governor and the minister in charge, then I think it's a shame that is the situation. If there is a political issue, they need to bury their egos for the common good. Nigerians are dying. He just cited an accident, and that is not the only one. There are very many instances that don't get reported of these accidents. People lose their jobs. People spend significant man hours in traffic, whether in Ikorodu, whether it's a Papa Mile 2 Express.
Today.
Exactly.
Because the third mainland is closed.
So it's closed too, so you have to divert. Exactly. And then some businesses too on those corridors are closing up. So it has direct, economic effect. It has direct economic effect. So the politicians, they need to bury their egos for the sake of the common good. And I don't see why that should be the case between the federal minister and the state government. This definitely shows you that you are failing. You are not doing your job. You are in charge of...
But in a country where there's almost never repercussions, whether you fail or not...
It goes back to what I said about the anyhowness. So we've got to... We don't see... You mentioned the vice president coming. It's optics. We should go beyond optics. After the 72 hours, I think the state government was saying it was going to increase the timeline again, maybe about 2 days. Still, there is nothing. Yeah. We don't see results. So what is going on? But when it is things that concern the elite directly, they handle it. Yeah. It doesn't take time at all. It doesn't take time.
You mentioned that the economic... I mean, there's so many segments of life that are affected by this. The economy, you know, like you said, people are shutting down businesses. Man hours lost. People literally spend 5-6 hours a day going and coming back from work every day. There's even now the fear of lives. Like you said, people are dying. But even besides that, now these bridges have become parking lots for these trucks now. But we know Apapa only started getting fixed when it was completely impassable. Are we going to wait for this to become a disaster, you think, before things start getting fixed? Because that's what it's looking like.
Yes, that's what it's looking like, and that's how we like to run our system. We are not proactive, so we don't plan ahead. And even when the government say they are planning, we don't see the planning being implemented. So there is always we are doing this, we intend to do this, always intending without us seeing the action. Like now, at least for Third Mainland, they're trying to work on it, saying that, okay, during Fashola's time, something was done, there was a test, there was a closure, and all that is even understandable. But beyond Third Mainland, there are other bridges that people ply that are also not in good shape.
Look very scary.
All the railings on Ojo-Elegba bridges, on Ojo-Elegba bridge is gone. There was a time, it was just like 2 months ago, a tanker was passing and wood on it fell on a bus and people died. Flattened and all that. So a lot of things are happening. The Kata Bridge, the Akpongbo Bridge, Eko Bridge, all those bridges are messy. Potholes and everywhere. So those roads need to be fixed. Even if Apapa is fixed and those ones are not fixed, there's still going to be a problem. And even all the adjoining roads around Apapa, the roads that lead into Apapa and out of Apapa, they are all bad. So something fast has to be done. And for example, now that Third Mainland was closed, the government should have planned ahead, knowing that, okay, we're closing Third Mainland. They knew when they would have closed Third Mainland. They should have planned.
Get the tankers out of the way.
Yes, get the tankers out of the way, fixed a significant portion of the bad spots on the alternate routes that people should fly. But no, it wasn't fixed. People spent hours and hours on the road on Friday, on Saturday, needlessly, just because of poor planning. And the annoying part was that they knew these things would be done on this set day. So why didn't you fix all those things to avoid this unnecessary pressure on the citizens?
We're going to take a break now. They say sometimes you laugh to keep from crying. When we come back, we'll see if you can help us with any solutions and how maybe we can move things forward. Because, I mean, usually we hear that the politicians start to act when elections are around the corner. So hopefully, I don't know, we might get some pretense to work, even if it's not serious. We'll take a break now and be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We are just about to run over our conversation here. We're talking about the gridlock in Apapa, but you can say the gridlock in Lagos. I mean, for the first time in the history of Rubbin Mines, I have been doing Rubbin Mines for about 5-6 years now. For the first time in the history of Rubbin Mines, last Sunday I couldn't make the show because of traffic. I was in traffic for about 4 hours. And that has become the story pretty much of Lagos. So one route is blocked, everybody goes through the next route, and everybody's blocked off on that route. And like you were saying earlier, the Third Mainland Bridge has been blocked for 3 days now. The one other route is almost impassable. What are we looking at going forward? I mean, when Governor Ambode came into power, it looked like he had a plan for traffic. There were all the lay-bys and the bus stops that he built very quickly, and things eased up initially. But it looks like they've gotten worse now. What are we looking at going forward?
Well, as it relates to Apapa, Gridlock, and all that corridor, the government needs to decongest port operations from Lagos, shift attention to Calabar, Delta, and the 2 ports in Rivers State. Do that.
That has to happen.
It has to happen. That's like a silver bullet to the problems we're having. You don't need to come to Lagos to pick frozen foods, goods going to Onitsha. You don't need to come to Lagos. That's going to solve that problem by as much as 80-90%. I am certain of that. So move the port traffic away from Lagos. Lagos is still going to exist. The ports will still exist, but reduce the attention we are getting here. Send those ships to those places. I'm not very conversant with port operations, but I know these are the basics that we can achieve. Then for God's sake, we need to go back to the rails. We need to remove as much as possible all the attention we put on the roads. The tankers, the trailers, they are heavy-duty vehicles.
In fairness to the government, it looks like there's a lot being done in the rail sector.
Yeah, we need to speed it up.
Yeah.
We really need to speed it up. We can take a lot of goods outside of Lagos via rail to Ibadan, to Littering, and all those places. Those things will take away traffic from the roads.
Yeah.
Then pipelines as well, the tank farms and all of that. Connect pipelines so that we are not using some of these things. Even the inland waterways. These are ways, even if those things are being brought to Lagos, we can still use the inland waterways to move some of these things across those places.
Yeah.
These are the things we need to look at. We need to think. The options, the answers are right in front of us.
I know you said money is not really the issue, but I mean, expanding the ports outside of Lagos is going to cost a lot of money. Why do we run the government in debt? Seriously, how are we going to do that?
Yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but it's also going to save a lot of money. Because now a lot of money is already being lost with everything being in Lagos. And with truth be told, Lagos is still the smallest state in Nigeria.
There's only so much you can take.
Yeah, size-wise, it's the smallest and has one of the largest populations. So we need to understand that the problem will keep on persisting if all the pressure is on Lagos. And it's not a workable model because Lagos does not have that capacity to do everything. And it's because even when the time I was in Abuja, I've never seen a tanker during the day. They also need to understand that can these tankers ply only at night? But another problem that will crop up with that is most likely security and all that. But that is a workable model. That can these tankers only work at night, since at least the traffic at night is lesser than during the day.
Yeah.
And Lagos needs to understand, the Lagos state government needs to understand that these roads, in as much as most of these roads are federal government roads.
Are Lagosians on it?
Yeah, Lagosians on it. The money made comes to Lagos. They need to understand that they should squash this their fight and beef if they have one, and ensure that these things make Lagos work.
Thank you very much, guys. hopefully we've talked about this for too long, and I don't know if we're going to be getting any solutions soon, but we're looking forward to better days ahead. Thanks for joining us. Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter, Niger TV is the handle. The hashtag to follow is Rubbin Minds. You can also visit our website, Niger.tv. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next Sunday.